Hello humans, it's your host Corey, and this week we're going to talk about journaling. So last time I went over meditation because I was inspired to do so by some thoughts and discussions I had encountered at the conference I had just finished doing. But then after I completed that episode, I realized, oh, you know what? I also haven't talked about journaling in a really long time. Both meditation and journaling were episodes that I covered very early in the show, in the Well Cared for Human podcast. So it's been years since I talked about them. So we're probably overdue for a refresh and also to kind of modernize or update those thoughts, those ideas. And journaling is not something that's so cutting edge that it needs to be updated like ChatGPT or something, or your iPhone. But it is something that we do need to revisit our motivations, why we want to use it. Is it something that's going to work for us on occasion? So it is good that we are going to take this time today to look at journaling again. I'm going to share a little bit about how I got into it, why I do it, and then the different techniques that you can use to journal for yourself if it's something that you want to try. And so my personal history with journaling was that when I was younger, when I was like a kid, I had like a diary, you know, those diaries with the locks, and it was like my super secret thoughts. I recorded them all and I locked them up in that little key, and so that was fun. So there was, when I was a kid anyway, I don't know if they still have diaries like that, but when I was a kid, that was like a big deal, you know, that you could like record your thoughts and you could lock them away and no one else could see them, and so I found that to be very fun. So that was probably my first experience with journaling. But as it progressed, as I got older, as I became a teenager, I started writing a lot of like my poems and my ideas in journals. I can't tell you how many books of poetry I have filled with like really sad emo poetry from like ages 12 to 16. Like really like, oh, everything is terrible, you know, that kind of like emo. I mean, to be fair, she was going through a lot, baby Corey. She had a lot going on, but it's, you know, the kind of poetry that when I reread when I was older, because I think I had found, oh gosh, I don't remember what year that was, but just imagine I was like in my mid-20s and I found a journal that I had kept when I was like 15, 16. And I was just like, oh man, this is some really bad writing. And so it was a source from my earlier creative musings, let's say that. And then as I got older, I was introduced to journaling more as a therapeutic technique. So when I started therapy, after I had left my difficult family circumstances, and I was working with a therapist, a CBT therapist, to kind of try to undo a lot of this programming, these maladaptive coping mechanisms that I had gotten from growing up in the terrible circumstances that I did, that journaling had more of a purpose and kind of a goal, and it was more like an exercise, and it was less like me just wandering around in my own mind, thinking my fun thoughts, my creative ideas, recording them, or sharing my feelings or expressing myself. It became less about that and more about kind of work. And so over the years, as you can see, there's been many reasons why I have journaled. Many reasons why I have used it as a tool to facilitate a relationship with myself. And I would say that the core objective of journaling is to develop that relationship with yourself. And so we, in the process of writing, in the process of journaling, we're developing that connection to our own internal voice. And so I have found that very valuable in facilitating that relationship because it allows me to get to know myself better, to see what I think about. So for example, there was an exercise in which I wrote a journal entry every day. And then at the end of that particular day, I reread what I had written. And then at the end of the 30 days, I reread the whole thing kind of together. So, I mean, it wasn't like a ton of pages. Like this wasn't like a 5-day commitment or something. It wasn't like I had to sit down and like read this book that I had written. So I had written like maybe a page a day for 30 days. And then at the end, I reread the whole 30 pages. And it was just such a great experience for kind of getting to see like who I am, what I worry about. Because, you know, we tend to be a bit repetitious in our thoughts and our patterns. And so, for example, all of my journal entries had started with me writing down all the things that I need to do. And so I was always very focused on, okay, I need to do this, and then I need to do this, and then I need to do this. And so at the end of the 30 days, when you have 30 pages where they all start the same way, you're like, like I'm really hyper focused on like doing and doing and going and achieving and working on this goal. And maybe that is why I'm so stressed out. Like maybe that is why I feel like I can never catch a break, or that I always have something else to do, or I'm super, super busy. And so that might be facilitating those feelings. And so you get to know yourself and like what you think about, what you obsess about, what's on your mind, kind of your perspectives about things. And it can be really fun if you save your journals over time. So I have a whole shelf. I'm pointing over here at my bookcase. I have a whole shelf of journals that I have saved over the years. And so books and books and books of them. And, I could pick up any of them and flip through them and be like remembering, oh, this is what was going on then. And that's interesting. So it is a way to have like a physical record of a relationship with yourself. It is a way to get to know yourself. It is a way to explore what's happening in your mental and emotional landscape, let's say. So I really do think journaling is great in that facilitation of the relationship with yourself, because again, and I talk a lot about this both here on this show and in my book, A Well Cared For Human, and when I go on stage and give presentations at conferences, it's all about building that relationship with yourself. Having a great relationship with yourself is what will make or break your mental health, your sense of well-being. And so journaling is just an easy way to do that, because it's like you're talking to yourself. Like, how else can you talk to yourself? Apart from just out loud, I guess. I mean, that's also a possibility. But this idea that it's one of the few socially acceptable ways to just have a conversation with yourself is in journaling. So I really love it, and I think it's a great technique. And there are many ways to do it. And so step one, obviously, would be to get a journal. And so my current journal, and that's actually one of the funnest parts for me, is shopping for journals. I love stationery. I love shopping for notebooks. I love shopping for pens, like anything, pens, stickers, notebooks, envelopes, note cards, thank you cards, like stationery stuff. I love it. So one of the notebooks that I have is this one. This is the one I'm working through right now. You can see I started it last month. And so this is the one I'm working through right now. And I love I don't want to share my secret thoughts, but I love the internal illustrations here. If you're on Spotify, you can't see this, so I'll just describe it to you, it's like a pencil drawing of a big tree and some different birds, a barred owl and a woodpecker and a ladybug and a chipmunk and a, what is that? A Loquens admiral butterfly. Okay, cool. And so it's got these little illustrations, and the external cover is a cabin in the woods. It's like a composition notebook. Actually, it's called a decomposition notebook because it's recycled. But anyway, so you can get these for just like a few bucks at the store. I think I got this one for maybe $5. And I collect them, and when I'm done, I'm going to be using this one that I'm super excited to start because it's very cute. The cover is really soft, and it's like a sage green, and there's a pink gummy bear in the kind of like upper center of it. And so this will be my next journal when I'm done with the decomposition notebook, which actually will be a while. Let's see, because I'm only like this far in. So we got lots to go. So it's a little early for the gummy bear, but it's so cute, right? I wanna write in it immediately. But anyway, and so I'm very excited to do that. So step one is to get a journal. And if you love the journal, like that helps, right? Because it's like, oh, I want to write in my journal. I like having it, like carrying it around. And once you get your journals and your pens, whatever pens you like, that is another thing that I really love shopping for is pens. And so one of my favorites are these hydrangea pens. I don't know if you can see these very well. And again, if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, It is a gold pen with a hydrangea flower, also in gold and blue at the top of the pen. Then it like rotates. You use it by rotating the stem to extend the pen itself, like the inky part. And so it's very pretty. It looks very classy and elegant, and I feel super fancy when I write with it. I'm like, oh, I'm someone who has it together. So anyway, it could be like a little ritual. It could be in and of itself like a little self-care ritual in which you get out your notebook that you love, you get out a pen that you love, you open up to a fresh, crisp page, and you write it down. So there's something to be said about rituals, like making it nice. You could light a candle, even make it fancy. Light a candle, get out your notebook, do your journaling. And then also kind of deciding like what your objectives are. And there's so many ways to break this down, and so I really have to think about how I'm going to organize this. But there's so many ways to explore your relationship with yourself. Now you can do like an actual journaling program. So for example, I have done The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron many times. It's like a book, actually, Movie Magic. I can get you the book and show it to you. Actually, I couldn't find the first one, but I have the third one here. And so, as you can infer, there are several books in this series. The first one is called The Artist's Way. That's the most popular one, the most famous one. But there are several. And if you have a book like this, there's like a passage. And then as you read the passage, then there are exercises at the end. There's also a technique that she recommends called morning pages. And it's essentially where in the morning, as the name suggests, you write 3 pages kind of nonstop free write, and that is your way of kind of connecting to your creativity, of generating your ideas, of just like letting whatever is in out. And I have done that, and I do find it very useful, morning pages. Free writing of any kind is really great if you're just wanting to see what's in there. So like you're like, just what's in here, what's going on. And so if you wanted to do it as a 1-week challenge, a 30-day challenge, something like that, and reread it at the end like I recommended, and then you can kind of see these patterns about what you're worried about, what you're thinking about, what you are wishing for or hoping for. Like if you on 20 of the 30 entries are like, I really wish I had a cabin in the woods with my dog, then you're like, okay, that's a dream. That's clearly like a dream that I wish I could make happen. And so maybe, start taking steps to move in that direction if you can. And so, or even just like make a plan of how you're going to start moving in that direction. So free writing of any kind is great to get your ideas out, to kind of get a sense of what's going on with you, who you are as a person. And so I do think the morning pages is great for that. And it doesn't have to be, she says 3 handwritten pages like in a notebook. I don't necessarily think that you have to be fixated on page count. I go back and forth on that. You can see in real time. I'm going back and forth on that because on one sense, just kind of what I touched on last week in the episode, we really do need to work on our attention spans, right? Attention is deeply, deeply connected to our sense of well-being, and there's so many challenges to our attention right now. So it's like so easy for us to get distracted. People are literally spending their days in offices learning how to distract us to gain our attention. You know what I mean? Like we are in an actual active state of warfare for our attention right now. And so in one sense, it's like, yes, do it for 3 pages because it will force you to focus, it will force you to pay attention, and it'll increase your attention span, and that's great for you. And I do agree with that mentality. But I also I hesitate because I know that some of us, the idea of 3 pages is super intimidating, and you're like, I could never find the time to sit down and do 3 whole pages. Like I barely have like 5 extra minutes in the morning. And I wouldn't want someone to not journal or to not explore their mind or their relationship with themselves or their feelings on the page just because time was an issue per se. And so I guess my conclusion on that now, as we are arriving together in real time, is that if you have time to do a set amount of pages, like I'm going to write a full 3 pages, it's going to take me 10-15 minutes, that's great for me, excellent, please do that because it will help with your attention, and that's super important and something that we need to actively build right now because it's being actively destroyed by others, by the industrial complex of the modern world. If the idea of dedicating 15 whole minutes or 3 whole pages is too much, just start where you can, right? Be like, I'm just going to write a paragraph. And the other thing about free writing that I think gives people hesitation is because they're like, well, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what my thoughts are. That's kind of the point of free writing, is that you just literally keep your hand moving and you don't think about what you're writing. So even if you're, and I have actually done this, so this is a real thing, where I'm like, I am just keeping my hand moving because I told myself I was going to write 3 pages and I don't actually even know what's going to come out, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you just do that, eventually you'll get past your own kind of mental barriers and you will just start recording like your thoughts and feelings and just kind of letting your mind go. And in some sense, it's also a really great tool for developing awareness, because if you're trying to record what your mind thinks, that means that you're teaching yourself to look at what your mind thinks. And that's awareness, right? That's awareness meditation. And so they kind of go hand in hand, developing awareness and meditation and journaling. It's all connected. These are all just different ways to do the same things. And so free writing, yes. Doing it as an actual like formal program, like something like this, if this is what you would rather do, if you need a little bit more structure and guidance, absolutely do something like that. But in all cases, anything you can do to record your thoughts and feelings and then take a bit of time to look at that, to get you to know yourself better, that would be great. That would be really good for you. And so another technique that I really enjoy using is I journal in response to something that I've read. So for the first 5-10 minutes or whatever, I'm reading a book. And that can be anything that I'm interested in the moment. Maybe it's a Buddhist text or a religious text of some kind, or spiritual text of some kind. Maybe it's something about meditation, or maybe it's something about psychology. There have been books about environmental justice. There was Intertwined by Rebecca Cormos that I was reading there for a while. There was The Serviceberry by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I read that book too, and it talked about like gift economy and so like reciprocity. And I'll read something and then I basically write kind of my thoughts or response to it. Like, oh, this is really interesting because X, Y, and Z. I would really love to see this in this context. I think this will really help me with blah, blah, blah. And then maybe something like this makes me think of, etc. And so sometimes it's a reader response kind of journaling. Other times I do it for something that I'm trying to like work out. So if you are a creative person or you are working on any kind of projects, or you build cars or you build houses, you can use your journal not just for writing but for sketching, so you can sketch out your ideas, or you can write out your ideas, or you could outline something or a draft. And in any case, whatever you decide to do with your journal in the morning, I think the most important aspect is that you're spending this time with yourself. And that conveys a very important message, which is that you are worth spending time with. Like, it's important to spend time with you. That's what your brain is learning, because it's seeing you do it. It's like, oh, every morning we spend time with me. Like, I'm the fun thing. I'm the fun thing to spend time with. And so it's very essential for this kind of fostering again of this feeling of I matter, I'm important, my relationship with me is the most valuable thing. Journaling is meant to be fun. That's one of the core things I want you to take away from this. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be for you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. We should ourselves a lot, where we are telling ourselves it should be like this, we have to do this, it has to be this way, it has to be 3 pages, it has to be for 15 minutes. You don't need to bring any of that to your journaling. It's for you. Sit down with a notebook that you like, that makes you happy, with pens that you love. Spend that time with yourself. Spend it however you want to spend it, whether that's free writing so you can get to know yourself better, whether it's to work through a difficult emotion, like this happened and I don't really know how I feel about this, but it made me feel like this, to explore your own mental and emotional landscape, to play with your ideas, your fun ideas, to think more deeply about things that you've encountered, like ideas in notebooks or like ideas in books or movies or games, whatever's come to you. In all cases, spending that time with you is incredibly valuable. And so I am going to put a journaling video with some prompts and some ideas in the Patreon. So if you're a patron, be sure to go over and check out that video as well. That's going to be accompaniment to this. Otherwise, I'm also going to put a few shorts on the YouTube and the Instagram for you guys to do some journaling techniques as well, to see if that's helpful for you. And in all cases, I will be back next week with another episode of A Well Cared For Human, and I hope you found this one useful. But in the meantime, please take good care of you. This episode of A Well Cared For Human was written and produced by me, Corey Marie. The music was by Late Night Feeler and Esther Abrami. If you like what I'm doing here, please consider visiting my Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you get early ad-free access to the episodes, as well as a monthly patrons-only Q&A, bonus videos, and more. Not to mention that your Patreon support lets me know that you find value in the show and want it to continue. You can find me on Patreon by visiting www.patreon.com/Corey Marie. If you can't support the show financially, that is okay. You can still subscribe to the show, leave a review of the show, and recommend the show to your friends, not just the neurotic ones. All of this helps so much. And as always, thank you for listening.